medical protocol wise, and hey, Derrick, how you feeling, and all that. And he's back at practice today. So Derrick Henry back on the practice field. The Titans just finishing up, I guess, all their speaking stuff. So with the Mike Vrabel era of the Titans, he talks and the players talk, and then they practice. And then you got to stay tuned because we will get the who practiced and who didn't probably around 2:30, 2:35. Now the Titans will send out any type of official stuff, although they've already sent out an official release today about Derrick Henry being back in the practice window. But we will know who practiced and who didn't and all that kind of stuff. But we know that Derrick Henry will practice today. So we've got a poll up. By the way, if you haven't followed us, Blaine and Mickey, on Twitter, please do so. It's just like it sounds, Blaine and A-N-D, Mickey, M-I-C-K-E-Y. Got a poll question up on there just for fun. We're not the coaches. We're not the doctors. But Titans fans, what would you do with Derrick Henry on Sunday? Don't play him. 1 to 5 carries, 6 to 10 carries, or more than 10 carries. And I somehow left an S off of the end of carries, so it's more than 10 carry. Great job on my thumbs here.
Well, that's why I'm not, putting out the tweets.
And I look at it 7 times and still send it out with a typo.
Yeah.
I blame autocorrect. Don't play him as the clubhouse leader right now, 44%. But in second place, 6 to 10 carries.
Oh.
6 to 10 carries in second place.
It say don't play at all, right?
Don't play him as 44%.
I'd love to know the odds of all the players when they brought him back to practice, like somewhat like Henry, whether it was a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. How many of those guys played that first week back? Like, I don't know if it was too many.
Yeah, that is a fantastic question.
Because
how did that work?
You're trying to work through the kinks of the injury. All I can remember is Darrington Evans, only because when he came back, I was like, oh, no, he's not going.
You watch video of him.
Julio, one time. But can't recall everybody else.
Typically, and this is just, Blaine is he's our Abductus Longus director. He's the director of content. By the way, Abductus Longus is groin related. You're also
I'm an injury expert.
You're also our resident injury expert slash doctor. You don't play one on TV, but you do on the radio.
Yeah, I do.
How interested are you to see, and there's only like 8 people that get to go to practice every day now because of COVID. How interested are you to see any kind of video of him just doing the stuff that he normally does to try to get an idea of what you see?
Well, just to look at his health.
Yep.
Yeah, just to see how well he's running, planting. We're probably only going to see individuals naturally, maybe a little bit more. But, just to see if he's confident in the foot. Because you got to know, before he came on the field, he had been doing drills, whether it was in the bubble, outside the facility, or wherever they do their rehab. So I want to see him plant. So I got to make sure I know what foot it is to be sure. Is it his right foot? The right foot? I think it's the right foot.
I think that's right.
You know what? I'm going through my mind right now. The coach, when he was sitting on the bench and he had him looking at his foot. And I was like, okay, he was facing us, so that was his right foot, I think. Yeah, so, I want to see him plant because there's a part in your brain that as an athlete, you start compensating even though it's fine. Just the initial reaction. Just think about when you stub your toe and then all of a sudden it's gone and it's been gone, but you're still kind of favoring your big toe. And you're like, why am I walking like this? My toe is fine now. So those things happen to an athlete too. So even the freakish athletes as well. And he is definitely in that category. I just don't know how much they think he's going to play. Like, he could look great and they still could decide, we're still not going to play you with him part of the decision. If he's, looking good, the doctor's going to say, well, he looks good. What's the risk reward? How much, risk is there? Well, there's going to be risk this week. There's going to be risk in 2 weeks if you get to the number 1 seed. So it's stable. It's strong. Hey, things can happen. So, I think it brings some energy to practice, though, with all the players, their best player back. And, he's going to be revved up, too. Because guess what's going through Henry's mind? That's why I keep thinking about, if he's healthy, how much will the decision be a collaborative effort, or Henry just say, I know I can go, let me go.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what the team has been doing? Winning without Derrick Henry, without the King. Now, would he have made it a little bit easier? Probably so. But they were still running the football. It just took 3 guys to do what he does, and then they still weren't as good as him. Numbers, this is why I love the number. See, numbers tell you they were better
Right.
as a group.
Right.
But in reality, they're not better than him.
Right.
We all know that. We just saw Foreman would have, that was King. He would have ran for a touchdown. See, but the stats tell you that they were. And see, the stats can also say, well, maybe we should kind of rethink about how we go about our running back position. Whether it's, next year or two, we can run maybe by committee. If we have that in our thought process going into the season, we'll have some stable running backs and be prepared. So there's a lot of things going on in Henry that he's motivated to get back out there, because there's going to be a part of him that's a little perturbed that, hey, they won without me. Mm-hmm. No different than what I said about when they won without LaJuan. It kind of exposed that they can still win without elite players. And I think that's kind of a trait of Vrabel for whatever reason. Man, he does a heck of a job. I mean, we're talking about the top 5 best players on the team, LaJuan last year, and then now Henry this year.
Yeah.
They're missing time, a lot of time. Big money guys, and they just keep it chucking and nothing change. So, yeah, I think he's motivated to be out there. Any athlete, especially a guy of his stature and his ability, they want to play. They want to play.
Yeah, it's Mason says he thinks in the Zone TV chat, he said, I think it's his left foot.
Is it left? Okay, I'm just trying to guess. I can't recall.
Yeah, and I can't either. And I'm like
we look like the injury reports, last week's injury report to tell us.
Yeah, so we'll go back and dig through it. Either way, I mean, it's a big man, and it's a foot.
I'm going to be watching both feet.
Yeah?
I wonder what size shoe he wears.
That would have to be a big shoe. And you said this, and this is interesting, and for people who've never had an injury affect their work, like somebody, hurts their leg at home playing with their kids, but they work at a computer. Well, they don't have to trust their leg to go type on their computer.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, guys have to learn to trust the thing that's been hurt, even if the doctor's like, look, here's the x-ray as well.
It's fine.
Look at it.
It's fine.
Here's the MRI result. It's completely healed. How long does it take? How long does it take, though, before you have to get hit on it or run on it? Or
Well, that's a good question. It's different layers to it, and every player is
now
different.
Terry's saying right foot, so we have right and
okay.
left.
Is that, you have to go through these, I guess, building blocks of confidence in that injury, that it's healed, and starts with practice. First, it started with the rehab, I'm sure, as he went along, and then started doing drills, whether it was lateral, vertical drills for him, putting pressure on her, planting. And then now it's the next step here, which is probably close to the final one besides playing in the game, is having confidence and building that it doesn't bother you at practice. Then how does it respond from practice? Does it swell? Does it do nothing? Does it feel great the next day? How much do you have to now manage through it? You feel like you can play through it even though it gets a little irritated, but nothing major. Have to keep playing through it. So all these things, because that goes into the mental psyche of an athlete when you're out there playing. If they don't feel like they're at their best, sometimes they don't play their best because they feel like they can't. Some guys can fight through it, but you have to have experience playing with it. And I use my broken forearm as an example. The first week I played with a broken forearm, I wasn't the same guy. I went into the game thinking I could be.
Right.
I no question about it. As soon as that thing got hit, I was like, oh, man, I might as well be crying like a baby. It was killer. I mean, killer. But the next week, after I fought through it, played through it, managed through that game, the next game, it was like nothing was wrong. Now I'm using it as a weapon. Yeah. My mindset was I was going to use it, but it didn't get there. As soon as it got hit, I was like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. So that's what's going to happen. Like, he gets in the game, somebody's going to step on his foot inadvertently, what have you, at the bottom of a pile. Somebody may try to twist his foot. You know, those things happen. And he has to go through some of those things at different steps to feel confident that nothing's going to happen.
You mentioned playing with a broken arm. Okay, there's pain because it's broken. I wonder for him.
Well, it was healed. I mean, it had a plate and 6 screws in it. So somewhat similar, just his foot. And every step he takes is good. That is a song, right? Every step you take.
Yes, every little step. I wonder, obviously, I mean, even from what I've had to do little bits of rehab, I know there's some pain there involved with that. I wonder, there was pain rehab in this thing, especially when you first start and as you go and work on your range of motion, like people who have knee surgeries. They said they got to break the scar tissue loose, and they've talked about how much that hurts. I wonder how much pain, if any, he would be having right now. If it's healed, I mean, would there still be scar tissue or?
Well, it's not like a scope. I'm sure there's some scar tissue involved. I'm just using the same thing that I broke my forearm. There were no scar tissue or anything like that. When you get a scope, there is.
Yeah.
But when you have surgery and they put plates and screws in there, I don't know how much scar tissue. There are always some form of scar tissue. I don't know if it needs to break up and then you feel like, oh man, it did something, and then it was a scar tissue.
Right.
So I'm sure they try to work through all those things when he was rehabbing early on. But this is going to be an interesting, just because there's no way around it. He's a big human being who, need his feet to run at the end of the day. So this is going to be an interesting one. But I firmly believe he'll be back. I just wonder how much do they want to put him out there this game.
Yeah.
After using the analogy of how many guys played, and every case is his own individual case. After they come off the IR there, that first week, do they actually play in the game? And, especially with a special player like him, do you say, well, we can hold off for another couple of weeks. He can still practice. I talked about sharpness. All those things play into that. And, some people don't, but I would say that every player needs to get sharp, especially who's been off this long.
Yeah.
And then get into a game. Now, hopefully you can have a window where he can get sharper quicker, let's say. But there is no duplication of playing in a freaking football game.
Yeah.
Somebody, they can say all that they want to, but we will get to see how will he be upstorming. Then now when you get in the playoffs, so if he doesn't play, you get in the playoffs, he can be fully healthy. And everybody said, oh, AP, he played and he's 38 or whatever he was. He didn't look sharp.
No.
He did not. Sorry. As the games went on, he started looking better, but he was definitely not sharp. Now, he's an older guy. We could say that, and Henry's younger, 28, as we all know. But the speed of the game in the playoffs, it's a whole nother ball game. As a matter of fact, each round is another ball game.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Yeah. I had, my first experience, I was like, whoa, jeez. These dudes are running like somebody.
Like somebody's chasing them.
Yeah, somebody right, man. They hauling butt, man. They wasn't running like this when we played the first time.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so, we'll see. He's kind of, he's on that freak of nature athlete, and I played with a couple of those guys, and even those guys coming back from injury, they have to at least get somewhat of some reps. And practice is cool. You build confidence, and he'll do well and everything else. But, man, in game is nothing like it, especially for a running back. You're getting hit.
Yep.
Got to carry the ball. You can only do so much at practice. He was never none of those things as far as I was concerned. But 8 weeks off, you just never – you don't know.
2 months.